Hey guys, Alex here with Paragon Performance. Today we're going to be showing you how to install the Halltech Hornet intake for the C8 Z06. You'll get a little bit of a power pickup with this, as well as the ability to service that air filter, clean it, put it back in, good to go. We're doing this install on a coupe. The convertible will have a few differences in the process, and we'll make note of those differences as we are going through, so you kind of get an idea like, okay, I have a coupe, I need to do this, or I have a convertible, this needs to be done differently. Your biggest starting challenge with the convertible is having access to both sides of that airbox. You can do this a couple different ways because you can't have both covers open at the same time. I would recommend opening the engine cover, do all the work on the actual back side of the box first, close that down, open the trunk, and then finish everything here, remove the airbox and whatnot. The other option you can do is you can actually take the 4 bolts out on the side there, remove the trunk lid basically, take the latch out, click it down into here, and then you can open that engine cover and go back and forth without any issues. Then you don't got to worry about clearing any check engine lights either. And then put the deck lid back on, double check the alignment. You should be good to go. Without further ado, let's get to this install. All right, so we're going to start here in the trunk. We need to remove this carpet so we can access the engine airbox cover as well as the front of the airbox. If you have a coupe, we're going to need to remove these top mounts, the 2 threaded on anchors down here, as well as the 2 push clips back underneath here. If you have a convertible, you are just going to have 4 of those threaded on anchors, and then after that, you're able to just grab the carpet and basically pull it out. All right, so now we're going to remove the airbox cover here. This is just going to be a whole bunch of T15s around the outside, and then pull the cover out. All right, so the cover's out of the way. Next, we are going to prep this side of the airbox for removal. That is going to be removing the 4 10mm bolts on either side here of the airbox and remove the couplers. Then we're going to undo the temperature sensor down here on the bottom and remove the 2 T30 bolts here at the bottom of the airbox, bolting it to the transmission. So moving on here to the back side of the airbox, we are going to undo the 2 more T30 bolts that actually hold the airbox to the transmission from the back side. They're a little hard to see and get at. The passenger side, you will have to move the transmission vent out of the way, figure out what combination of extensions and ratchet work for you to get down there into it. And then from there, we're going to unplug the mass airflow sensor. These cars have 2 of them, so there's 1 on each intake tube. And then we will undo the hose clamps on the intake tube. I prefer to undo both of them. Just gives you some flexibility when trying to pull the box out. If you have a convertible, you will have a coolant reservoir over the top of this. You will need to remove the 1 10mm bolt that will be on the passenger side, and you're able to swivel that out of the way and carefully place it on top of the intake manifold. All right, so now we're gonna partially remove the airbox here so we can access the couple wire retention things there on the back and the transmission vent tube. If you have a convertible, you can actually access that stuff from the backside much easier than a coupe, but your airbox is going to be actually more difficult to get out instead of just the pick up and kind of twist and slide back and then tip it out. On the convertible, you actually have to do the same thing, but you'll need to actually rotate that airbox 180 degrees and come out upside down. So that means on the convertible, if one of the couplers comes off the throttle body with the airbox, you will need to reach in and remove that from the airbox, as it won't fit to come out. So let's get this airbox lifted up and out so we can get to the back side of it here. And just like that, that'll give us some access here to reach everything here on the back we need to get to. All right, so with our airbox here, I'll try to turn it so you guys can see a little bit more maybe. But we're gonna start here on the top side. On both sides, there's actually the O2 sensor harness. If you actually just kind of push that one way, you can unclip it and leave everything still attached. Same way with the other side. Give it a little twist and you should be able to slide it off of there. If you can't, you can use a little plastic or a little screwdriver and actually pry the tab and slide it out. Okay. And then it looks like somebody's actually been in here before because most of the wire retention stuff is actually missing. But if you can kind of see here, let me undo this antenna here on the top. Like so. You can kind of see here where there was a couple push clips here. Those you would need to undo as well. With somebody being in here before, it looks like they've broken all of this stuff, so we'll fix that. And then as well, the transmission vent tube is typically attached over here on this side as well, but it looks like that clip was broken. That's just a Christmas tree push clip as well, so you'll need to undo that also. And the airbox is out. All right, so we've got our hardware kits here. We're gonna work on getting some stuff here transferred from the OEM box over to the Halltech box. We will need to transfer the mass airflow sensors, the antenna here at the top. We will need to transfer these two push clips as well. And then we will need to transfer the heat shields over. Now, when doing the heat shields, there should be 6 longer 3/4 inch long button-headed Allen bolts in this kit. Those are specific for the heat shields on these Z boxes. And then as well, there should be some 5/8 inch length MAF screws as well. There'll be 4 of those, 6 of the heat shield ones. Everything except the MAF screws will be an 1/8 inch Allen bit. The MAF screws actually come with their own Allen wrench because they're a little uncommon size. And then if for some random reason your push clips broke too, just like this customer's were already broke when we took it apart, Halltech does provide a few extra replacement ones, so don't worry if you did break them. Let's get to transferring some of the components, and we will pause periodically to go over a couple little steps. Like with the MAFs, we've got some spacers we have to install. There's some foam seals that have to be installed onto the new box as well. But let's get into it. Alright, so onto the MAF. There are some little spacers provided and a gasket. Basically what these are going to do, the gasket's going to go on the bottom side and they will bolt on all together with the MAF as basically one unit. Now these spacers are directional, so they will only fit the MAF one way. So figure out that orientation, get your gasket installed onto the underside of this, and then using those longer screws that we talked about with the washer, go ahead and get those installed. All right, just like that, we've got the box ready to go back in the car. We're gonna take the temperature sensor with us, so we make sure we get that put back on the car as well. We will need to install these seals, which you're actually going to just lay it on here. You can actually lay it on the coupler side because we're gonna reuse the OEM coupler. It's double-sided tape. Just kind of lay it on the perimeter, cut it, trim it to fit, and that should be good to go there. And then we'll want to make sure that we bring some of the short 1/8 inch Allen head cap screws, as well as these 2 plates out of this hardware kit when we go back to the car as well. And the wire retention clips if you damaged any. All right, let's get this put back in the vehicle. All right, so let's get our airbox set back in here. We're gonna wanna keep tabs on this wire harness, make sure it stays out here, out of the way, so that way we can get that temperature sensor reinstalled. The transmission vent tube, so we can get that reinstalled. And then if you had damaged any of those 3 retaining clips on this harness and you need to replace them, now's a good time to just kind of loosely install them in place. And we'll finalize tightening them once the airbox is actually fully installed. Okay. And now we're just going to grab the airbox and kind of fish it back in there, and pretty much the same kind of process as we got it out. This harness needs to go above the mass airflow sensors, and the tube needs to go underneath basically. And then make sure that your couplers are on the throttle bodies still fully. Alright, so we're going to get it started into there. And then we are going to basically just begin to reclip everything back into place here. Just like that, we've got it kind of set back into place. You can visually kind of check your airbox with your outside couplers here to see if it looks proportionately appropriate. Our wire is out front here. And from here, we're just going to continue on the assembly. You're going to need these little brackets. These brackets actually don't matter which side they go on, and it's a little hard to see, but we're basically going to be putting that front airbox screw back in. One thing to note will be the location of the big hole on here. So your bolt that goes in to hold the airbox to the transmission and to clamp this into place is going to be the center one. And then we're going to use the big hole actually for the sensor. It's the temperature sensor. It'll just snap into place. And then on the other side, you'll do the same thing. You just won't have anything to put in those other holes. It'll just be the one center one, and on we go. All right, so now we're going to reinstall these couplers. The outside 2 bolts will use 2 of the original bolts you took out. The inside will use 2 of the Allen headed bolts that are supplied in the Halltech kit. On the back here, there's some little tabs. This little tab will actually need to slide in behind a little metal bracket back here. So be mindful of that if you're having issues getting it to line up. That is probably why, as it's not aligned correctly. And then you'll repeat the same thing for the other side. All right, now let's move to the back side and get that side all buttoned up. All right, so now we're going to grab those two T30 bolts that we had, that we took out previously from the back side of the airbox here. We're going to need to reinstall those in these wonderful tight fitting areas. All right, so those are installed now. Now you're going to reach in, you're just going to make sure that the wire harness stuff that you'd placed in is all kind of all snugged up, pulling those zip ties tight, and then trim off the tail on the zip tie. Then we will tighten down our 4 hose clamps and then re-plug in both mass airflow sensors. There you guys have it. Pretty simple install. Got that Halltech intake installed in your C8Z. Just got to button up the last couple things here. Get your airbox cover back in place, your carpet reinstalled, and you're ready to go. Enjoy that Halltech intake with that little bit of power pickup. And always like, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you guys next time.